the textile world is undergoing immense change. Rising energy costs, supply chain disruptions, AI, and the urgent need for climate action are reshaping the entire industry. Where is this world headed? What are the implications for developing countries like Pakistan? And how can young entrepreneurs take advantage of this changing landscape? We were recently in Karachi for Texpo, Pakistan's very own textile and apparel exhibition for international buyers. To answer our questions about the future of apparel, we were joined by a very special guest, Mr. Jem Altan. Jem is the president of the International Apparel Federation and a manufacturer himself with decades of experience. Quite simply, he is one of the most consequential people in the apparel industry today. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Business. My name is Saifullah Minhas. We are in Karachi right now. I want to introduce my guest. He is a very, very interesting individual and I believe he's one of the most consequential people in the world of apparel today. His name is Mr. Jem Altan. He is the president of the International Apparel Federation. What is the IAF? We'll talk more about that. Mr. Jem, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way. I know you had a very busy few days. I was watching you, at Texpo as well. You were always surrounded by people, always going here or there. You had media duties. You had to go with the stalls. You had some meetings. I'm sure it's been a very hectic few days for you.
Well, it's been hectic, but I enjoyed it because I love my industry, and as acting and presenting international industry of textiles and apparel, I'm very pleased to also be in this position and come here and act as ambassador for the industry. So, I do it and I enjoy it.
And your entire life is a testament to that. You were just telling me that you spent 45 years in this industry now. You've basically given your life to apparel, haven't you?
Well, when I finished high school, I had spent a year in retail business to see if I like this business. So I went into a department store working as a shop assistant in a clothing store, and then I loved it because I'm coming from background. My mother is a tailor, and I grew up with the pins and needles. So,
wow.
And then I went to England to study in England in Nottingham textile technology, and then I came back to Turkey, and in 1984. I started this business professionally, and since that I'm in the business, and I've been in every part of the business. I'm a textile technologist myself. I worked in dye houses, I work in retail side, I worked in fashion side, I worked in sourcing side, and finally decided that I have to have my own factory. So in 1991 I started production in my own factory, and since then I'm smelling cotton and fabrics, and it's been very, very hectic 40 years, and I really enjoyed every minute of it.
That's wonderful. And your factory is based in Istanbul?
My factory is based in Istanbul. We started in Istanbul, but also we have last 7 years a factory in Gallipoli, Çanakkale. So
okay.
We in Turkey move some of our production outside Istanbul because
right.
there is a difficulty of finding the workforce in Istanbul.
Right.
So everybody goes in different cities and set up their factories there.
And Mr. Jem, tell me about the IAF. What does the IAF do for people who might not know about it?
Well, IAF is the only global federation that represents manufacturers. We have members from 40 countries, 4 continents, and mostly associations. And also we represent nearly 200,000 manufacturers that members of these associations, and about 20 million workers. So it's a big global federation. And mission of this federation is to unite manufacturers and brands and so we make our industry more sustainable, greener, and this way, of course, we can make the manufacturer's voice heard in global arena.
So the way I understand it, the IAF is the Global Association of Apparel Manufacturers.
Yes.
Around the world.
We only represent apparel manufacturers.
Right.
But of course, we have members from solution makers, universities, education centers, big corporations and small businesses,
right.
and also, of course, associations. And with them all together, we collaborate to make our industry better.
And so one could argue that as president of this federation, you are effectively the spokesperson for manufacturers around the world.
Yes, that's my job. I'm more than a social representative of the federation, but of course there is a big work going behind it with the board members and the associations. Without them, of course, you can't run it. And also we have the secretariat as well in Amsterdam, and they do very hard job as well, because the team is very small team, but we have a lot of consultants, we have a lot of professionals helping us, and without them, we couldn't be any better.
I understand. So just out of curiosity, like you mentioned that you have a lot of associations globally who are members of the IAF, but then you also have individual manufacturers as well who are members of the association. Or what benefit can an individual manufacturer derive from being a member of the federation?
Well, since I became the president, I wanted to have more manufacturers becoming member to IAF, because we want to really make manufacturers' voices heard in the arenas, in the retail and brand arena. Because what we tell them, we have a lot of problems in our industry, and even now these problems will increase with the new regulations coming up. All this pandemic, we came out and we had difficulty about 2-3 years, and now the war started, the energy prices gone up, inflation went very high in every country, so demand has gone down. So this new EU regulation is not causing us actually, but we have to invest on to fulfill these regulations on sustainability, making our factories greener. We have to invest on solar energy. We have to invest on wastewater treatments. So we have a lot of challenges, and of course, there are big demands from the brands and retailers, and price at the moment is not really too important. If you don't have all the other compliances, we need to really comply on social compliance, social due diligence, environmental due diligence, water due diligence. You know, we have to all comply with this. And of course, the most important thing is we have to have safe factories. We have to treat our workers well.
Yes.
So to do all this, we need finance.
Yes.
And at the moment, because of all these crises as well, and the low demand, the manufacturers are not really making any profit.
Right.
Once you don't make any profit, you cannot really invest. So these are the challenges that we are having, and IAF is trying to help through associations to the manufacturers. And this is why I want more manufacturers become a member, so we can dialogue, communicate, and cooperate with each other, and listen everybody and solve the problems all together. And with the more members from manufacturers, we can be stronger.
So, Mr. Jem, obviously we've talked about why manufacturers need to be a part of the IAF. Now, my follow-up question to that would be, what challenges exist in the apparel industry today that need to be tackled head-on? You've obviously mentioned the new EU regulations that have come up. You've talked about inflation. You've talked about rising costs of production. And what else do you feel are the main challenges that you foresee in the next 5 to 10 years? Now, talking about a longer landscape, longer timeline.
I mean, all these challenges that we have will increase even more.
Okay.
Until these wars finish and demands back to normal. Because at the moment, too many supplier countries and everybody is fighting on a price. But price is not only thing at the moment. There are overproduction, and all this overproduction has to be limited because we need to really reduce the carbon emission. And retailers and brands are ordering more than they can sell. And now all these new regulations are going to limit this. So there will be less production. So all the manufacturers has to really go for smaller quantities and more value-added garments for longer lasting garments. So really we have to prepare ourselves for better quality product. And to do this, we have to invest. We have to invest on new machineries, modern machineries. We have to invest on digitalization. We have to invest on recycling. We have to invest on solar energies. We have to invest on AI, which is becoming very much part of our industry, from farmers growing cotton to brands selling their products. With AI, they can be more efficient, they can be more productive. So all these things will come into our industry, and already big manufacturers are investing because they can afford to invest. The problem with SMEs, because SMEs needs money to invest, and to reach money, government help is very important, and also bring in all these funds that helps to invest on sustainability development. There are a lot of European EU funds that available that countries for manufacturers
I see.
that we have to reach out, and only this way, because in our industry, when you invest, you need to really get long-term credits. With short-term credits, you cannot return your investment. So we need minimum 10 years long-term with very low interest rates, maybe no interest rates. So maybe World Banks or IFC and other green funds can help our industry. And I see this in many countries. I mean, I was in Bangladesh and I see a lot of these organizations. I was in Uzbekistan, also they were there. So probably Pakistan also can invite all these people here, so they can listen to them and they see what the requirements are. Because I heard that they also give funds for very small investments to very big investments as well. So there is no minimums or maximums for the size of the manufacturers. They can get these funds. This is very important, and also, of course, our biggest markets are EU markets and US markets. Especially Pakistan's biggest market is EU market, but also US is following all the regulations that EU is bringing out, and they have targets for zero carbon emission for 2050. So by 2030, 2040 and 2050, we have to fulfill all our what you call the responsibilities.
Yes.
So have we started? Some started, but we are going behind because of the finance problem. We have a saying, if you are in red, you will never be in green. So we have to solve this problem. This is the biggest challenge at the moment.
Don't you think it's unfair to throw all this responsibility on manufacturers who are probably not the cause of the problem in the first place? Like the majority of greenhouse gas emissions are not from apparel manufacturers, and they are not from developing countries. They are from developed countries which do not have any significant apparel manufacturing. Like the countries that we're talking about, like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, these are to some extent developing countries, right? So isn't it unfair to suddenly throw all these regulations on these manufacturers while accepting that climate change is real and while accepting that it is a significant problem that needs global unity to actually counter it? But at the same time, isn't it unfair to just throw it on manufacturers?
Well, there is nothing fair in this world.
Yeah, of course.
Because, yes, actually, the legislations are not only on our side. Legislations for everybody. Because if you, from farmer, like I say, from farmer to consumer, everybody is responsible. Everybody has to do their own share to make this climate better. Mm-hmm. Because yes, maybe we are developing countries, but at the moment, the manufacturing hub is this area.
Yes.
Okay, Southeast Asia, from Turkey to east of Asia. So at the moment, we have to really make sure that we start thinking about it, how we can reduce our emission. As you know, textile and apparel industry is the most populated industry because we use plastics, we use bio plastic materials, yes. We use fossil energy,
fuels, yes.
And we use a lot of water growing cotton. We use a lot of water during our dyeing and finishing processes, and transport cost. Transport is too much carbon emission tool, and this is our responsibility. This is why we don't say that okay, they've caused it, why should we? We can't say that. We don't have that
luxury anymore.
Comfort, you know what I mean? So we all have to fight for it. And to do that, of course, we have to do our investments. Government has to do help us on that with the regulations they put. And this way, we can at least start reducing the carbon emissions slowly and slowly. Because if we don't, at the end of the day, we have to live with the disasters. As you know, the climate changing, what's happening in Pakistan, always there are floodings.
Yes.
In China and Vietnam, last month had very big typhoons and ruined many factories. So we have to stop this. At the end of the day, we win again. So really, we don't blame these regulations, but they are requiring so soon. They don't give you a time. So I don't know what will happen, because this will also cause problem on our costings as well.
Yes.
Our prices will go up, and the brands and consumers doesn't want to really contribute to that high cost, which will add it on top of our cost. And on top of that, now EU is gonna put some tax on carbon emission as well. So if you are not complying with the set carbon emission on your product, you have to pay 1-2 euros tax, and the brand will not pay for that. They will say, manufacturer, you pay it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's again our responsibility, but also there is another responsibility that brands and retailers have. They have to really control the amount of orders they place. They cannot now just place thousands of products that they receive, and if they can't sell it, they dump it somewhere. Yeah. This is no more the case. They have to really order enough quantities where they can sell and finish the product, so there is no wastages. So this is also a little bit of producers' responsibility as well as the brand's responsibility.
And just on that note, speaking about sustainability and also about responsible buying, fast fashion has a very bad name when it comes to sustainability. But there's also an argument to be made that those companies which are dealing in fast fashion are simply responding to the demands of the market. They're not doing anything illegal. Some of them might be, but for the most part, they're just being more responsive to the demands of the customers than traditional retailers are. So, is there a case to be made that maybe fast fashion isn't that bad? It's just that regulations need to be stricter instead of just, blaming fast fashion for all the problems of the apparel industry.
I think the fast fashion is created by these brands who wants to make the product cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. They don't really need to order this much because there is no demand. As you know, maybe 40-45% of the products we produce, they are not sold. So they go on west. So this is causing inventory cost. And if they order less, we can make little bit more money and we can make better product, more lasting product. Right. We are happy, they are happy, and the environment is happy. So this is their problem. I think with this new technologies, with AI, they will get better ideas about how much they can order, how much they can sell, right, what product will sell. All these technology changes will help the brands to program their buying habits better. But of course, we say everybody is requiring slow fashion, but as I see from these companies like Shein and like Tema and these sort of very, very cheap e-commerce brands selling cheaper and cheaper, and the demand is for them is growing.
Yes.
They say that young people are against these environmental problem, but they are the biggest buyers of these cheap products.
Exactly.
So, there's a confusion.
Yeah. I would just say there's definitely that demand that's just going to keep on growing for very, very on-trend garments. Like, trends are now shifting very, very rapidly. Whereas first you used to have seasons, now you have weeks for buying in some companies, right? So it's just that from a layman's perspective, you only see this problem. I won't call it a problem, but you only see this phenomenon growing, that people will want even faster fashion than they do right now, while obviously caring about the environment. But it's not stopping them from buying fast fashion.
Well, like I said, everybody wants to stop this, but all the social media is tempting people to buy more and more.
Yeah.
So when you are young, and on your social media, you see what's happening in US or what's happening in Europe, and in this side of the world, they want to do the same. So everybody is, attempting to, look better,
Yes.
look different, so they keep buying. And of course, the product is cheap, the quality is not there, so it does not last long in. This has to change. As a manufacturer, honestly, I hate to do fast fashion. I hate to do 15,000, 20,000 of this product, 50,000 of another T-shirt, or I'd like to do minimum and do a good quality, better lasting, but sell it with profit.
Yes.
So I get benefit out of that. Making big quantities, big turnovers is no good. The important thing is for manufacturer to make profit.
Yes.
So this is my mentality, and I always work like this. I never wanted to do 100 million of this year and 150 million next year. I said I stay in a level that where I can make my profit, because when you pass that, your profit goes down, and one day when there's a crisis, then you start losing money.
Yeah.
So really, everybody have to watch their business and see where the profit is.
Right.
And this way, I think we can save everything.
We can save the environment, like we can reduce the harm to the environment while at the same time solving the problem of overstocking and manufacturers also losing money as a result of the buyer's loss, because buyers tend to pass on whatever they lose down the supply chain to the apparel manufacturers, who then have to share that same loss with the rest of the supply chain.
You know what the problem is now? This recycling is very important now. All these left garments has to be recycled and go back to product again. But there is so minimum demand that all these leftover garments are piled up, and people don't know what to do with it, because nobody is demanding at the moment recycled product. Some of the brands are using very, very small recycled product just to call the product sustainable.
Yeah. And they charge a lot for it as well.
We mustn't use sustainability for marketing purposes.
I think it's very important for the technology to catch up. When we can make a sustainable product at the same price or cheaper than the cost of making a fresh garment, only then will we be able to actually meaningfully solve this problem. Like we've seen with cars, when electric vehicles were way more expensive than regular cars, nobody was buying them. But as the technology improved, as they brought the price lower and lower, now EVs are a fact of life, and pretty soon they will probably take over the entire industry. So we need, in my opinion at least, we need something similar for apparel, in which maybe new types of fibers or cheaper methods of recycling cotton and polyester lead to cheaper garments than what we're selling right now. Otherwise, and I might be wrong, but I don't think consumers are ready to pay more at scale. They might pay more for sustainable garment here or there, but they're not going to fill their entire wardrobe with sustainable garments and pay more for it. It just doesn't seem like happening right now.
Well, I think for me as well, recycled product is not sustainable, because there are a lot of processes going and a lot of logistics going, and I don't think this is very sustainable. For me, the sustainability is to do less and less and less, enough so we can use it full production and longer lasting production. That's for me more sustainable. Right. And also we have to use less synthetic fibers and use more natural fibers like cotton. We have to increase growing cotton. Yes, cotton uses too much water as well, but with the new technologies and with the new we have to really work on new what you call planting systems. I don't know. I'm not a farmer, so I don't really know. With the new technology, AI, we can control the production of raw materials as well. As you know, there is a lot of vegan fibers coming out, and we have to use natural fibers more. than the synthetic fibers. So they can get rid of the plastic water bottles and things like that, so they are not all around for us to use on textiles.
Yeah, that's true. So just to wrap up this discussion on sustainability, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Whose responsibility is it to be sustainable? And I'll break it down into three. Is it the government level? Is it the people who are buying apparel? Or is it the people who are selling apparel? Or the people who are making it? Who would you hold most responsible for ensuring sustainability?
I think everybody has equal responsibilities, really. You cannot say, government is more responsible, or the consumer responsible, or the producer are less responsible. Everybody has the responsibility. To be able to fight this, you have to collaborate, and you have to be, in the same sort of idea, and expect the responsibility. We cannot say, this is responsible or that's responsible. Really, we are all responsible.
Fair enough. Moving on to Pakistan now, a country that you've been to before as well. You're here right now. And just out of curiosity, where do you place Pakistan in the apparel sourcing world? Like, how would you define it? I'm going to give you an example. For example, China is where you can get everything. Bangladesh is where you can do high volumes for lower prices, right? Turkey is more high quality, maybe lower quantities, and also shorter lead times. Where does Pakistan fit into this landscape?
I've been to Pakistan second time now. Before, in 2019, I was in Lahore. We had a conference with Prigmia, and I had quite good idea then, how Pakistan can develop their garment and textiles industry. And I have talked to a lot of manufacturers, and I saw that the manufacturers really needed to educate it on global markets.
Right.
They didn't know too much about global market. And now there is improvement. This time I'm here, I'm talking to a lot of my friends, and I see a lot of improvements. And I think this is because Pakistan manufacturers are hungry for success.
Right.
But of course there are challenges here as well.
But how would you describe the product, the Pakistani textile product?
As far as I follow, I think Pakistan has gone far away on denim production.
Right.
Socks especially is very specialized here. Yeah. Turkey was #1 socks producer in the world. Now I see Pakistan, only one factory is doing tremendous numbers of socks. So that's a big achievement. So really, I understand that investment makes everything different.
Yeah.
If you invest on new machinery, automation, and make it more integrated factories, so you have more chance to go global.
Right.
And also, you have to, I think, improve your yarn variation.
Right.
I see here only heavy yarns,
Yes.
And you are good on sweats, for example.
Yep.
And I see from my customers as well, they come to me and they say, I can go to Pakistan to get my sweatshirt, half price. And I think these areas are good. But I recommend, don't follow Bangladesh. Go for more value-added garments. And to do that, you need really trained, skilled people who can also do some designs, offer some designs, and create some different prints, embroideries, fabrics, especially technical fabric is very important now. and I think Pakistan has also investing on technical fabrics as well. They can increase this, and sports goods are now very much in favor. People don't want to wear suits anymore.
Yeah.
They want to be like you, very relaxed and comfortable. So these sort of products can be good for Pakistan, and also the most important thing is Pakistan need to really work on their social and environmental compliances. It doesn't matter how good product you produce. It doesn't matter how cheap you produce. Without those two, you will not get any business. The brands and retailers are trying to protect themselves now, and they have big responsibilities for their customers. And now with this new product passport, digital passport, the consumer will see where this garment is made, how it is made, where the raw material is coming from. So really, Pakistan have to invest on traceability. You have to really collect data, and by digitalization, you can collect all these data. You can trace your cotton from the land farmer to finished garment. And also, I think that also in Pakistan, there are a lot of second tier, third tier suppliers. There's not many integrated suppliers. Yes. So you are also responsible from those. It doesn't matter that your factory only complies with all these requirements, social and environment requirements. You also are responsible from your tier 2, tier 3 suppliers as well. They have to also do that. Yes. It's not enough only you do everything and they can get away with it. Yeah. So this is a chain operation, and with blockchain you can trace all this.
Absolutely.
And this is the new industry, the revolution, like you said. We are going through a revolution. We have to do all these now. So if you bring all these together, then you can be one of the most important sourcing country. Because at the moment now brands are going to Africa, yes, searching cheaper products in Africa. Yeah. So we have more competition now.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe they have long way to go, but
they'll get there. I mean,
they'll get sometime there. So there is not that much demand. Look at Turkey now. Turkey has started 50 years ago this journey, and our know-how and quality, as you say, has come to this stage with investment on newest machinery, education, skill building. That's how you achieve it. But at the end, we became an expensive country. So we only work on the value-added products, quick products, window products. And if there's any problem globally in our competition countries like Bangladesh, India, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Pakistan maybe, then they come to us. During COVID, everybody was in Turkey, and we had after COVID, had the highest export achieved. But now it's gone down. So really, our business is a global business, and the buyers are looking for best place to source, and wherever they can source in easier way, safest way. So you have to make your industry safe. So buyer can come and orders from your country.
So let's do a small thought experiment. Like, let's say the government of Pakistan gives you a free hand to run the export industry of Pakistan. Like you get to make the policies, you get to call the shots essentially, with the target that you have to triple Pakistan's exports within the next 10 years, textile exports. What would be the 2 or 3 things that come to mind that you think could actually help Pakistan achieve this target?
I don't really know what the education level here on our industry. technical school, universities for engineers, design colleges. I don't really have much idea about it, but these are very important.
Right.
I think government has to really invest on these first, because our industry is people's industry. Without people, you cannot achieve anything. So you have to have skilled people to do that. And first, I would invest on education,
Right.
and then I would invest on, I don't know the laws here as well. If you have, for example, now Green Deal laws, policies here to reduce the carbon emission, they have to really put those regulations. They have to really put some strong laws on human rights, workers' rights. They have to really follow if there's any child labor, if there is any forced labor. These are very important to become a global actor.
And it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because typically manufacturers look at these things as costs, but you're actually saying that by investing in human rights, investing in sustainability, and and reducing carbon emissions, you will actually increase the amount of business that Pakistan does as a country. So that's a very, very interesting
Of course,
approach.
it is cost. I mean, you have to pay more to do all these things. But at the end, maybe the best way to save money to increase your efficiency and productivity.
Yeah.
You work on efficiency, how you can become more efficient factory,
Yeah.
how you can be more productive factory, how you can save energy. For example, you are using now maybe fossil energy or gas or whatever to make your factory run. Now with solar energy investment,
Yeah.
probably in 5 years you will get return, and then you will save a lot of money. Okay, by digitalization you can improve your production line, control where the faults are, how machines are performing, how the workers are performing, and see the problems, and then you can put these under the data and then find solution to increase your productivity. These sort of things saves you money, but that money can go in improving your social due diligence. That's the most important thing, I think.
Yes. Instead of cutting corners, which manufacturers sometimes tend to do, right?
I mean, without workers, we don't exist.
Yes.
We need workers.
And-
So we have to look after our workers.
Absolutely.
They have to have good life. So when they come to factory, sit on the machine, they don't think what's happening outside in his home.
Yeah.
How he's gonna feed his children, how he's gonna
Absolutely.
send his children to school. Do you know what I mean? How he's
Absolutely.
gonna make sure that he's healthy, he gets good food.
Yes.
When working on the machine, he has to have all these out of his mind so he can give himself more. This is how you win it.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's definitely a moral obligation on the part of all employers, not just manufacturers, to look after the mental well-being of their employees. But for those people who might not have such a solid moral compass, it's also very important to explain to them the benefits to their company of making these investments in their employees. I've sometimes seen that's actually a more effective approach of actually getting companies to invest in their employees.
I tell you, in our businesses, they're all family businesses, and I see the father who is started the business has some ideas, and he brought the business up to here. But then there is the second generation, maybe more educated because he had more chance to, go to better schools. So the second generation or third generation can make everything different, So it's young people like yourself has more chance to make everything changed, okay? So you have to really educate the future generation so they can act, as we expect.
Absolutely. As here's to hoping that the next generation of manufacturers are more responsible in terms of environment, in terms of social responsibility, and are also better at what they do, more efficient at what they do, so that they can all counter the challenges that the apparel sourcing industry
Because
is
you will live
facing
in
right
this
now.
world more than we do. I mean, naturally, and your children will do. So, don't you want to live in a better environment, or
Of
don't
course,
you want to
yeah.
leave this environment, this planet to, your children in a better way?
You know what it is? Pakistan is one of the most affected countries. Like climate change hits Pakistan, like you mentioned earlier in this podcast as well. It hits Pakistan very, very hard. Even though Pakistan is not at all responsible for climate change, because our total carbon emissions is, I believe, around 1% of the world's emissions. And even though we're the 5th most populated country in the world. So
Yeah,
our
but
emissions per person,
1% makes it.
but it's but the effect of climate change on this country has been so devastating, and when you see it firsthand, then you are actually more motivated to do something about it. And instead of obviously non-governmental organizations, foundations, everybody, non-state actors, they all play their part, but at the end of the day, the source of the emission and the source of the problem, they need to be convinced first and foremost to change their ways.
Well, nobody is going to save your country more
Yeah,
than you
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah.
So forget about all those who is
Exactly, yeah.
doing or wasting all the energy and carbon emission. You concentrate on what you can do.
Absolutely.
So really, I mean, yes, the Western countries causing a lot of the problems,
Yeah.
With the high industries and everything. But they realize now as well,
Yes.
and that's why they are putting all these regulations.
It's actually
And as you
encouraging in a
know,
way that they're trying to
these
solve the
regulations
problem.
started from the companies whose turnover is like 100
Yeah.
million, 500 million, billion dollars. The big companies start paying these taxes now if they don't act green. Okay, and then it will come to us, smaller companies as well. So
Absolutely. Just moving on to a happier topic, Texpo. You were there for the last 3 days. Just a few thoughts on how the event was, what you thought of the stalls, and what they need to do next time.
Well,
and before you start, sorry, we'll cut it here. But before you start, you should also thank.
That's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna do.
TDAP.
Well, yes. First of all, I really appreciated Pregmia and Ijaz especially. He's the member of our board, and he's a very active guy. And he asked me if I could attend. I said I would be honored to attend. So he recommended me to Texpo Pakistan organizers, and I appreciated that they said yes. So I would like to thank first of all Pregmia, Ijaz, and then Texpo organizers and the Pakistani government for having me here. And it was fantastic 3 days. Everybody was very hospitable. I like Pakistani people anyway. I've been working with them since I started my business. I used to have a lot of Pakistani friends in UK. My first 10 years has been working with them. It was fantastic. So I know the mentality here. And that's why I didn't hesitate to come here. And I come again if they invited me. And 3 days that I've been here, I think the organization was set up very well. Having all these different industries in our industry, like carpet, home textiles, apparel, textiles, yarns, in one roof, gives more opportunity to buyers to see everything what that country does. So when they come here, they see, Pakistan, I can see yarn, I can buy yarn, I can buy fabric, or I can buy carpet, or I can buy home textiles, or t-shirt or denim jeans. So under one roof, I have opportunity to see all this and buy. I may be, in business. As you know now, big department stores are buying everything. So when they come, they can buy their home textiles, they can buy their apparel, they can buy their socks, underwear. So everything. That's why it's good to have all these mixed fairs together. And I think it was very well organized, and there needs some improvements, but mainly it was a very good fair.
That's great. Whenever it happens next, we hope to see you again in Pakistan.
Well,
and you're most welcome to visit.
I hope to be back again.
Absolutely. You're most welcome to visit any other time that you wish. It was a pleasure having you here, Mr. Jem. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And see you again soon.
Thank you.
Take care.